MMA has attracted its share of oddballs and misfits through the years, but few have been more outspoken or successful than Anaheim's very own Sean Strickland. Today, we look at the highs and lows of Strickland's career so far, and how one of the UFC's strangest ever fighters became its most unlikely champion. Welcome to the INC, and this is the improbable rise of Sean Strickland. MMA not only made Sean Strickland, it saved him from a darker fate. Strickland endured a troubled upbringing. The son of an abusive father, Strickland and his dad often came to blows during his adolescence, including attacking the elder Strickland with a guitar while protecting his mother during a domestic violence incident. Things would get worse for Strickland, falling in with the wrong crowd and developing an unhealthy fascination with far-right political groups, culminating in 2006 when he was expelled from school for perpetrating a hate crime. In an attempt to save her son, Strickland's mother enrolled him at an MMA gym as an outlet for his anger management issues. The younger Strickland took to the sport like a duck to water, abandoning his ideologies and making a commitment to MMA full-time. Strickland later thanking the sport for helping turn his life around.
It's funny, you ever seen American History X?
Yes.
So people always ask me, when I was a kid, who did I want to be? And that's who I wanted to be, one of those guys. Wow. I thought they were so fucking cool. And the moment I started training, I was like, fuck, man. I don't hate anybody. I don't fuck, everyone's cool. My entire life I hated you just because you're colored. And now you're the one fucking helping me out. It's fucking, life is strange.
Strickland made his pro debut for the King of the Cage promotion in 2008. Strickland's early career was typical to that of most prospects, using physicality and a strong wrestling base to make up for his technical limitations. The promise, however, was justified, as Strickland won his first 9 fights on his way to the King of the Cage middleweight title, and after 3 further defenses, he was given a call to the UFC in 2014. Strickland made his company debut at UFC 171, surviving early adversity to claim a first-round submission over Bubba McDaniel. Over the next 4 years, Strickland developed a reputation as a steady, if at times unspectacular fighter. While the Californian won 5 of his first 6 fights, his workmanlike style saw him overshadowed by the division's flashier prospects. The most notable moments being a win over Court McGee and his extravagant hair, earning the Tarzan nickname for good reason. While Strickland would lose the Bouffant by 2017, the winning streak remained intact, and the middleweight was given his first jump in quality when he faced Kamaru Usman at UFC 210. Strickland had no answer for Usman's wrestling, as the Ultimate Fighter winner and future UFC champion claimed a dominant unanimous decision. The fight severely dented Strickland's perception as a welterweight prospect. A match with Zaleski dos Santos 12 months later seemingly killed it. Strickland, however, bounced back with a second-round stoppage of Nordine Taleb. But with the fight marking the last on his contract, many believed the Extreme Couture fighter would pursue his career outside the UFC. Things went from bad to worse a few months later, when Strickland was involved in a motorbike crash that led to the reconstruction of his knee, and forcing him out of action for 2 entire years. In a rare act of sympathy, the UFC offered Strickland a respite, keeping him under contract and vowing that there would be a place for him in the promotion should he return to full fitness. After 2 years rehabbing his injuries, Strickland returned to the UFC in a middleweight bout with Jack Marshman, claiming a comfortable win over the hard-hitting Welshman before a second-round stoppage of Brendan Allen. It was during this time Strickland's trademark fighting style was formed, abandoning his wrestling in favor of a high-volume kickboxing style with constant forward pressure, while his adapted Philly shell meant he seldom took damage in response. While the new style looked cumbersome to outsiders, it quickly proved effective, as Strickland claimed further wins over Krzysztof Jotko in his first main event against Uriah Hall. It wasn't Strickland's fighting style, however, that got the people talking.
No man that beats off the cartoons is gonna beat me.
Bro, trust me. I can tell you what.
While Strickland had little media profile during his first run, the second saw the fighter become increasingly brazen, garnering major backlash for his outspoken views on feminism, cancel culture, and his fellow fighters, most notably middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. The outburst made Strickland a divisive figure. Most saw him as a misogynistic relic whose presence emboldened those with a negative view of the sport, while others presented him as an anti-hero and a throwback to MMA's counterculture roots. Whether loved or hated, it made Strickland one of the sport's most talked about fighters, and added with his willingness to fight on short notice, it made him a regular fixture of the UFC's Apex cards. At the time of writing, Strickland holds the record for the most Apex main events in company history, including 5 of his past 7 fights. After one such match against Jack Hermanson, Strickland had amassed a 6-fight winning streak, and with Adesanya cleaning out the division, the Californian was being spoken about as a potential future opponent. It led to UFC 276, as Strickland took on Alex Pereira in a middleweight title eliminator. Despite his opponent's obvious weakness on the ground, Strickland raised eyebrows by insisting he stand and trade with the former kickboxing champion, leading to a predictable outcome midway through the first round.
Oh! That's what I'm talking about. That's it. That's why. Done it again. That's why.
Strickland's loss in such embarrassing fashion led him to being the butt of the MMA community, with some people comparing his trademark striking style to the Nickelodeon character iCarly. Even Strickland's adopted Apex home couldn't provide refuge, suffering a split decision loss to Jared Cannonier, with many seeing his title aspirations as little more than a pipe dream. Strickland finally returned to his winning ways in 2023, claiming a decision win over Nasruddin Imavov before a second-round stoppage of Abus Magomedov, Tarzan's first UFC finish in 3 years. Most fans at the time saw the fight as little more than a stopgap for Strickland. It would actually be the performance that transformed his career. UFC 293 was set to be headlined by Israel Adesanya's title match with Dricus du Plessis. But when the South African was forced to withdraw due to injury, Strickland was drafted in on short notice to take his place, even if his spot was called into question when he struggled to get a visa to compete in Australia. Adesanya was at the height of his powers going into the fight. The stylebender had amassed the second most title defenses in middleweight history, and he was fresh off finishing the division's boogeyman in Alex Pereira, with some bookmakers quoting odds of 7-1 for Strickland to provide the upset. With a fighting style catered to Adesanya's counter-striking, Strickland was seen as little more than a sacrificial lamb for the champion, only for Extreme Couture's finest to turn the sport upside down. Or down under, as it is Australia after all. Strickland dropped Adesanya at the end of the first round and never looked back, continuing to walk down Adesanya, who failed to get any kind of rhythm going. Adesanya appeared mentally broken by the end of the fight, the result of which was a foregone conclusion. The UFC's most bizarre fighter had just become the company's newest champion. Strickland's win is regarded as one of the biggest upsets in UFC history, bringing the divisive Californian to a global stage and silencing those who ridiculed him after his Pereira loss 12 months earlier. The new champion will get his first test in January when he takes on Dricus du Plessis in the main event of UFC 297, a fight announcement that still came with its share of Strickland-fueled controversy.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Out of nowhere. That's kind of crazy.
Sean Strickland will never be a role model or a marketable face for the UFC, but he does demonstrate many of the attributes needed to compete at the sport's top level. Mental strength in the face of public adversity, and the ability to overcome constant professional setbacks, even if the fighter did so in a somewhat unconventional manner. Whether you love or hate the infamous Sean Strickland, his heroics in Australia earned him a place in MMA folklore, an abrasive, eccentric one, but a place nonetheless. This is the INC. Please like, share, subscribe, post your feedback in the comments, and ring the bell so you never miss another video.